I'm Ashton Addison from the Crypto Coin Show, and today on Blockchain interviews with Ali Beikverdi, co-founder and CEO of HollaEx. Ali, welcome to the show, and thanks for taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, excited to dive into crypto exchanges, what makes a good exchange, how a lot of companies are starting exchanges, the fast and cheaper way. I've had friends who've started exchanges from scratch, and it took a long time. It was very expensive, and they didn't succeed anyway. But I know that there are some secrets to success that I would love to dive in with you today. And I would love to start off our conversation by just a high level on what HollaEx has built out with regards to crypto exchange and crypto infrastructure. And then we can dive into all the details.
Sure. So at HollaEx, we built a white label crypto exchange where you can simply use the platform that is already pre-built and run your exchange platform. When we say exchange, it's obviously different layers from wallet management, user management, trading matching engine, building markets, liquidity, KYC, AML. There are a lot of different aspects to it that are all built in different modules as part of the platform. So it just makes it very easy for a business that wants to do something blockchain related to just get on board, use the infrastructure that is already built, tested, battle tested for many years, and get pretty much very quickly into the market. We built it in a very customizable way so that it's very easy for businesses to utilize the technologies and tools that are there and be able to build upon that because we obviously know that there are a lot of different requirements, there are a lot of different things that people want. So in a nutshell, it's sort of like a very easy, you can think of it like sort of like a WordPress for, websites. Like we made it more for, as a financial tool for people that want to use blockchain and digital assets.
Definitely. And there are a lot of pieces to the exchange. It's not just trading one asset for the other. And I mentioned I have friends that started a crypto exchange. They're trying to start like a derivatives perp DEX. But from what I understand, there are many financial institutions, many of them that have got into digital assets in the last 2 years. Maybe they're getting exposure to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and now they've realized the potential of stablecoins as well. Are there other use cases for this technology for financial institutions that aren't actually just, hey, let's start our own crypto exchange?
Sure. So initially, when we started building this, it was primarily a Bitcoin on and off ramp. Quickly, we realized that there's so much more to crypto than just Bitcoin, all these other coins, all these other blockchains and digital assets. And then we put it out there and we sort of realized that there's a lot of interest in tokenizations, building new assets, building tokens utilizing these tools for different purposes, whether it's a gamified token to a regulated security token, building infrastructure on top of that on the blockchain. And then you sort of want to have this exchange as a centralized component where it kind of puts all of that together. Because when you start, doing all these blockchain and stuff, it's sort of like out there on the blockchain, it's very, disintegrated. But the exchange sort of puts like a nice wrapper around it and makes it very easy to, uh, you know, uh, basically sort of interact with, which is very, very powerful for uh, traditional institutions. For example, a bank can sort of have similar concepts, similar sort of APIs and things like that, and it can connect it to the exchange, and then it gets connected to the blockchain world. So it kind of works also as a bridge. The use cases are pretty much unlimited. You can think of a lot of different things that you can do with it, which is what we've seen. It's a wide range of different use cases, as I said, from gamified tokens to a on and off ramp standard crypto exchange. And now also with stable coins, even on the payment side. So for example, if you want to process stablecoin payments, building like a new infrastructure from scratch doesn't really make a lot of sense. You want to maybe also build your own stablecoin. Sky's the limit pretty much with what we can do. We just put the software out there, we give it to you, and then you can build really nice components using these tools.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and I would love to see more businesses start accepting stablecoins and have a infrastructure that makes it easy to just have those on and off ramps, so we get to spend our stablecoins without having to go through the exchange, through the credit card, all that stuff. Let's just get straight to stablecoins, and there's a lot of other use cases you mentioned there. I want to hone in on the full crypto exchange example a little bit more. I mentioned my friends have tried starting an exchange. Maybe you can quantify the the cost and the effort that you're cutting back by using a system like HollaEx? Are we talking like years and hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars to do it the hard way?
Sure. So, one of the key elements with, what we provide with HollaEx is that it is a financial software, which makes it also extremely difficult. So it's not just the number of years that you need to spend building something.
Mm-hmm.
Once you finish building that, which could take like years and possibly hundreds or millions of dollars, with the development, you end up with a software that is not like battle tested, that hasn't been
Mm-hmm.
out there. So that is another, takes another couple of years, at least like, 3, 4 years for you to get to somewhere that you can actually launch a product. And that's just a really, really long time for you. Like if you want to get into the market, like 4 years of like development and testing is definitely not ideal. So you want to just,
No.
quickly get out there, execute your business and put it in front of the market. So instead of like building all of that, you have like a very solid foundation with what we provide, and you can pretty much reduce that to like weeks,
Mm.
depending on like your requirements and your market.
Yeah, that's it sounds a lot easier, and I know that there have already been like 100 plus exchanges and other parts of the infrastructure that HollaX has been working with. Um, can you give any examples of like sort of a success story of like, hey, we wanted to start an exchange, we tried to do it the hard way, we set it up in weeks, and then now it's one of the main exchanges?
So one of the interesting examples we have is an exchange in Dominican Republic. These guys, they were doing an OTC in the past, so they built like the largest network of Bitcoin ATMs currently in Dominican Republic. They started with one ATM. They were doing OTC. All the process was pretty much manual, and it wasn't just the scalable. So
Mm-hmm.
what they did is they basically made an exchange. They connected their ATM and their infrastructure with what the exchange provides, and now they became the largest exchange, and they've got like the biggest ATM network in the country. And that just kind of gives an idea, meaning the smaller countries, particularly
Mm-hmm.
where the the technology might not be there, or it might cost a lot to bring like some other do a development from a
Mm-hmm.
scratch, or things like that. Just makes it so much easier for someone that does things. They've been creating values, they've been exchanging like Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, but they were doing it manually. It just doesn't
Mm-hmm.
scale like the way you want, with sort of like putting it out there as an online platform with a website, a mobile app. It just streamlines the entire process for you to like run your business very, very quickly. There are also other interesting examples from like custodians, regulated custodian that they've been serving financial institutions as a custodian service provider. They simply have all the wallet infrastructure that is required, but then adding all the trading elements, making like
Mm-hmm.
putting it all like together, having that exchange wrapper is pretty complicated. So like for a traditional custodian to like jump into the blockchain world, be able to like provide all that technology, like they've used this. This is a custodian in Hong Kong that is utilizing the platform, and there are a lot of like other interesting examples. Like what we kind of like is how it makes it very accessible for people in different parts of the world, in different
Mm-hmm.
countries, where the even like the traditional financial technology might not be as up to date, or not might not be
Mm-hmm.
as great as what it is in the Western world. It really enables these guys to like sort of jump there and then be able to like provide these financial services very quickly, without like having that great traditional financial infrastructure, which is pretty amazing. Like what you can do with having this sort of like access to the blockchain and sort of tools that we provide on top of that.
Yeah, no, that's some really great success stories from Dominican Republic to Hong Kong. And talking about the different countries and regions, is there a difference from somebody in North America, Canada, or US who wants to run a complete crypto exchange through HollaEx versus some emerging country that doesn't have different regulations and compliance?
So it's very different in North America and Europe, primarily because of the regulation. It
Mm-hmm.
makes it a lot harder for players to enter the market. You simply need to essentially do a lot of paperwork, make sure everything is compliant. There are already a lot of regulation in place that you need to comply. While we do have certain, regulation in terms of like, the software and things like that already there, still like is a bit of a process and it's quite costly. While we do see a lot of like customers, from these countries, it's still like sort of challenging for some of them to pass the regulation. But
Mm-hmm.
then as I said, like, sky is the limit with different ideas. It's not always
Mm-hmm.
just this traditional exchange. Like people come up with like really interesting ideas, or it's something that is like complementary to their existing business. For example, there's a business that does wines, and then these guys like want to tokenize,
Mm-hmm.
these wines and put it out there in a more digital way. You can essentially use the blockchain to do that, and then going through the regulation in certain areas might be
Mm-hmm.
easier than others. So it sort of like really depends. It's case by case. But at the same time, I think what's really exciting also is like, the emerging markets like Latin America, like Middle East, Africa. There's a lot of, or even
Mm-hmm.
Southeast Asia, huge population, lack of infrastructure in a lot of these countries, and just, getting into the blockchain and crypto world just like make things like a lot easier and a lot faster to develop and execute. Because like blockchain sort of like is connected, so it's like you're instantly connected to a network that is being used everywhere and is compatible with like all different countries, which makes it sort of like very different than the traditional system.
Definitely, yeah. There's hundreds of other countries that you can do international business, and with crypto bringing everything globalized, I think the possibilities are endless, and the use cases as well as you mentioned there about tokenizing wine. You wouldn't think there's so many different real world assets in the RWA scene that really hasn't like taken off yet. Could you what do you think about your team's software and the potential for RWA and more items to be tokenized? And also, can you touch on the tokenization of just currencies themselves if the company wants to create a token?
Sure. So RWAs, I think they're quite interesting because when you look at the traditional way of doing things, let's say a real estate, who owns the real estate? How do you transfer the ownership of the real estate?
Mm-hmm.
uh, or any other assets for that matter. It's done in a very kind of old school way. And then a lot of fees are in place that you need to pay to a lot of different people. And looking at the younger generation, I think moving forward, using these old school methods is not like what really people want to like, it's not going to be the way that people are going to do things. For example, just even simply, owning a stock, like, do you want this stock to be on a piece of paper, or do
Mm-hmm.
you want it to be on your, uh, blockchain wallet? When you ask different like demography of people, they would answer this question very differently, which is very interesting. Like if you ask older people, like baby boomers, they would rather have that on paper, which is how things are done today. But if you ask like younger generation, like, the millennials or Gen Z now, especially with Gen Z, I think, it's like really obvious that they want it to be online. They want to have that ownership somewhere online, like not relying on like some paper that says like you it just doesn't they it doesn't really make a lot of sense for that demography of people. So like we're going in that direction regardless. It's gonna be there's gonna be it's gonna be more frictionless, less people involved, like lowering the fees and everything. But it's also kind of a challenging, path because you still have the baby boomers. They still prefer the papers. They still think like that's a better way to do it. And this needs to sort of like obviously connect to the real world assets themselves. Like this is the physical world. We can't do all of that online, like on as a digital, asset. It has to be sort of connected to the actual physical asset, and someone needs to sort of verify that, which is, I think, the most challenging part when it comes to RWAs. How do you verify that this asset, this digital asset, actually is, uh, connected to the real world asset? And I think we need more organizations, centralized organizations in place. Part of the challenge, I think, is just dealing with, the existing infrastructure. They don't want, things to change because they're taking a lot of fees out of these. And, people are not very open to the concept of like, having this sort of change. It's a very much like a paradigm shift. But whether we like it or not, I mean, it is happening. Players that are like ahead in this space, they're going to be the ones that make a lot of profit ultimately as a result of that. And it just makes things more open. I think people would rather have something that they have more transparency on, that they can see, they can actually like, sort of uh, understand the rules. And the blockchain-based assets just provide a better, better system for that purpose. One interesting example is, for example, the stable coins. When you look at any stable coin, it's very easy to see how much, stable coins are actually out there, how much, stable coins that we have, when they exactly minted. Like everybody can see that. There are even a lot of like, people sending notifications as soon as like, let's say Tether Foundation like minted this much USDT. Like we can all see that. And that level of transparency is very, very interesting. Like we don't exactly know how much US dollar I think is out there, how much USD liquidity is exactly in the market. We don't have the data. It's very hard to even find like how much USD is printed. And that's the US. Like imagine other countries or countries with like, even countries that have that are worse when it comes to transparency. It's very, very hard for people to even understand like what exactly is happening. It's not just with currencies. This is with everything else. Like, when you think about the stocks, like how many, when a new stock is issued, like imagine if this was in the blockchain, everybody would get notification. It's obviously like, sort of it's democratizing how we do finances, how we deal with these different assets. And that's just something inevitable. I think ultimately people would want to have that level of access, and the market is going to go where, when there's demand. So whether we like it or not, I think this is happening. It just makes things a lot easier. But then there's this transition phase. Like, we're in this transitioning phase from the old infrastructure to this new infrastructure. And this is like where we come like very handy as HollaEx. Like we have those sort of tools that, is connected to the traditional world, like APIs and integrations and that level of like, access for people to like have that while they are also entering the digital blockchain world, and then being able to provide that and still have like certain level of like control and understanding about how things are done, which I think is very important in order to like get into that phase of like, having a very, open uh, network of all these assets on the blockchain. So we're kind of like filling the gaps, like, for that transition.
Definitely, there's a big transition period, but it's inevitable, as you say, and I agree. and it's happening. And with, say, for example, with the wine team, they come and they want to tokenize their real world assets. Do they have an option of different blockchain technologies? For example, they want to tokenize on Ethereum or Bitcoin or Solana or private blockchain. Is there limitations or recommendations using the HollaEx infrastructure?
So we are pretty much like blockchain agnostic. So we provide the solution on top of any blockchains, or there are a number of different blockchains that are supported, all the EVM chains, and a lot of different blockchains like Solana, Polygon, Ethereum, Arbitrum. So it's pretty much like up to people exactly what they want to do, and then they can achieve different things in different blockchains. I think there's still a competition of like who's going to be the winner of this race among these blockchains, and necessarily I think they're not all competing. They're all like trying to
Mm-hmm.
achieve different things uh depending on like what they want to do. If it's like if people want to do something really solid, we would recommend like maybe Ethereum. If they want like faster transactions or lower fees, you can go into like layer twos or Polygon, Arbitrum, or it can be a Binance Smart Chain, Tron, Solana. So there are different use cases, different needs, and you can also like reach different communities and different like markets through different blockchains, because some of these blockchains are more adopted in certain places. It sort of depends on that as well.
True.
But the tools are out there. You can, easily like connect from one another. You can reach from one chain to another. So like we kind of like help you with that, and we're very agnostic in like sort of the chain. But we just provide like, the tools and the system, and then you can decide like how exactly you want to, or which blockchain you want to choose to move forward.
Definitely. That's good to know. And yeah, the chains, they need to all be working together because it's such a small piece of the pie compared to the traditional financial system right now. And part of that is, at least on the DEX side, there's some of the chains need more cross-chain compatibility to have better liquidity. But on the traditional crypto exchanges, HollaEx infrastructure, obviously liquidity and token listings and that kind of stuff is important. How does the liquidity work for an exchange that's just starting on day one? Because if there's not a lot of people trading yet, then it's tough to have liquid trading when there's not a lot of users.
Yeah, that's a very good question. I mean, there's a chicken and egg problem, like when it comes to an exchange. Traditionally, like, it's just kind of a problem. Like you need people that are willing to like sell something so that other side of the market wants to buy, like they should get matched. But then if you miss one side, like the other side is not going to come in, and then you end up with this problem, which is like what we saw initially when we developed the software. A lot of people like were struggling with that, and we realized like this is a very important issue. Like, how do you actually like resolve that? It's I'd say like liquidity is a very complicated matter in general, and then there's no one solution that fits all. What we sort of built over time is, building over time with the liquidity of different clients that we have. Over time, we managed to like build a bigger and bigger liquidity, and then be able to like, match people's orders with one another without like, you providing all of that, like bringing market
Mm-hmm.
makers, that would provide liquidity for certain markets that would sort of like help to bootstrap the exchange, so you don't have like that chicken and egg problem. And but it doesn't also limit you. Like you can still like add your own liquidity, you can still like add your own markets. Like if you have a lot of liquidity, for example, with a certain asset, you can definitely like add on top of that. So it's kind of like it works with as a network, instead of just you individually like starting out. Like so it kind of like helps a lot of businesses to bootstrap that initial phase where you don't have any markets. But then over time, like you are able to like put your own liquidity and push that forward with your market. So the more the people are, the more users you have, obviously, like the bigger the liquidity gets. And as I said, there's no like one solution that solves this completely. But we're using like, with the experience that we have and the network, we're trying to like, put it all together so that this is handled in a much better way, that these exchanges that use HollaEx like are kind of like, helping each other out in a way that would
Hmm.
help a lot of these businesses when they want to start.
Yeah, no, that's important, definitely, because you don't want to have huge slippage or high fees. And with maybe you know better than me, but with the liquidity is important, but also transaction fees. And there's certain key features that users like from an exchange, like they don't want to trade on an exchange if the fees are too high or if there's not the right tokens listed. Do you guys have like a sort of a checklist with the clients of like, hey, if you want to use this but also make it a success, you sort of need to have these certain things to have a great exchange?
So first of all, we have a very long feature list
Hmm.
that's available there, and then with a click of a button, you can activate these features.
Hmm.
These are like some of them are very complex features. For example, we have a an advanced referral system where once you enable that and configure this referral system, it would allow users to basically, when you refer someone, if they use your referral code, like part of the trading fee that the referee is paying to the exchange would go to you. You can kind of like customize
Hmm.
these fees, the percentage, maybe like you can set it up so that like the person who gets onboarded like gets a discount. There are a lot of like very fine-grained like niche features that you can configure, and these tools are already provided and is like right there. So you, just depending on the like your requirements, you can activate a lot of these features. We also have sort of like a best practice, like what are the things that we would recommend for an average business to be successful, like what are the tools that they should use to be successful? And but again, like it's very case by case. It really depends on like your target
Hmm.
audience, like your market and your approach. And a lot of cases, like we have clients that have like a very unique idea. For example, like let's say I don't want to like get any fees, but I want people to like pay subscription for trading, or like there are a lot of different
Hmm.
ideas that people come up with. And you can build a lot of these features with the existing tools, or you can build a plugin that would enable that, which is sort of like where we come in and we help them to sort of fine tune like some of these features as far as like what exactly they need, and they can achieve like it can have like different marketing, for example, plan, or they can have their own unique like elements that would sort of make them a standout compared to the other exchanges.
Yeah, so many possibilities. I saw on the HollaEx X feed that you guys are also listing new and great tokens to the exchanges like Aster and Pump Fund and these ones that are coming out and already at billion-dollar valuations. So that's a lot to keep up with. And you mentioned at the beginning about battle testing it and then also going with the industry as the industry evolves. Looking forward, as you guys are already running, hundreds of different projects and then more are coming in, what else do you and the team work on in terms of like new features and keeping up with the growth of the administration and more institutions coming in to the space?
Yeah, so we see an influx of larger traditional companies utilizing the platform now. And with that, there are a lot of more complex uh, sort of requirements, like very fine-grained access to like role management on the
Mm-hmm.
operator control side,
Mm-hmm.
having different roles for different people and being able to dynamically, for example, set these, setting like limits for certain users, or a lot of these enterprise level features. It's just not like a standard thing that you would want to look at like on a standard exchange, but on a more complex system, you want to have a lot of these complex features and automations also around a lot of these tools. That is something that we've been focusing on. recently we've been working on a feature where you can share your account access with someone else, for instance, which would be quite beneficial, like, in a traditional sort of, let's say, a hedge fund. Like, I want other people to be able to like see my account, but and then be able to like trade on my account, but I want to be in charge. Like, this is my
Mhm.
account. Just want them to sort of like see that. These are a lot of like interesting requirements and things that we, never really thought about. But then we just sort of like listen to what our clients want, where the industry is going, and what we see is like a lot of like these sort of complex like features that goes more towards like institutions where more people are involved. And it's, I think, sort of like the evolution of these financial tools and software. We saw that in the past with, traditional like software. Now, like on the blockchain, similar things are happening. Like, and people want similar sort of features added to their platform, which is where we're like, putting a lot of focus on.
Yeah, there's infinite requests from companies coming in, making granular features, and it's a lot to keep up with. But you and the team seem to be doing it successfully, and wishing you guys all the best, continuing that and getting more traditional companies into Web3 and blockchain, whether it's for an exchange, on ramping, stable coins, tokenization of their real world assets or shares or anything. There's so much. What is the best way, first of all, for companies to look into these features and get started? And then how can people follow along with the updates as HollaEx continues to release more?
So you can check out the website hollaex.com. And in order to get started, you can go to hollaex.com/start. Our team will be in touch with you. There's a form that you can fill out, and we will get in touch and we will, listen to your requirements and then help you out in the best path forward. You can also follow us on X for any updates. And yeah.
Sounds great, Ali. Thank you for all the insights into not just building a crypto exchange successfully, but tokenizing traditional businesses and bringing them on chain. There's just more and more businesses that are coming, and ones that are eager to do it and don't know where to start. And I feel like HollaEx is a great opportunity for them to check out and see, hey, how can we make this without the technical knowledge? We want it done faster, and we want to get started because crypto doesn't sleep, and blockchains are building block by block, and there's just so much going on. So I will leave a link to the HollaEx start page and the home in the show notes below, and the X and the other socials as well. Wishing you and the team all the best, and would love to follow up in the near future.
Appreciate it. Thank you.